In the depths of space, a horrifying light blazes in the sky. This vision marks a dream that ends when Rhea wakes up. Confused and disoriented, she finds herself in an unfamiliar place, haunted by terrifying images of people dying in brutal ways. However, this too is a nightmare, and she awakens for real, lying on the floor of her room, wounded and suffering from amnesia. The station's AI informs her that abnormal activity has been detected, and due to a system malfunction, the backup power must be restarted manually. Sore and weak, Rhea picks up a flashlight and begins to investigate. As she wanders through the station, she encounters large bloodstains and even the corpse of a crewmate. Rhea removes the knife lodged in his chest before moving on, only to find another body in a different room. Eventually, she reaches the control room, restores the power, and opens a door to the outside. There, she sees a dark, desolate planet and a body bag containing yet another dead crewmate. As ash drifts from the sky, Rhea notices a shadow imitating her movements before it vanishes. Still uncertain of her surroundings, Rhea continues her search but comes to a halt when she almost tumbles off a cliff. Looking upward, she spots the same horrifying light from her earlier dream. Suddenly, she begins coughing and feeling faint due to the polluted air, forcing her to rush back toward the station, stumbling several times along the way. Once safely inside and the door sealed, the computer warns her that oxygen levels have been compromised. As she struggles to breathe, Rhea hears her name being called and experiences visions of the crew being attacked, including a glimpse of a friend with a decaying face. A flashback then shows a happier memory. Rhea sharing a meal with the crew, some of whom were excited about exploring the planet, impressed that its atmosphere was nearly breathable. Back in the present, Rhea applies a medical patch to her neck and takes a shower, still trying to piece together who she is. She searches through the rooms, catching brief flashes of her teammates' faces. In a notebook, she finds detailed notes about the station, along with photos of herself tending to plants. Just then, a noise draws her attention, and the AI reports movement near the Zone 1 airlock. Cautiously approaching, Rhea sees someone pounding on a door. She grips the knife tightly, and when the figure steps into her room, she quickly tackles him and shatters his helmet. The man calls her by name and introduces himself as Brian, a name Rhea vaguely remembers from her earlier flashbacks. Realizing he is an ally, she releases him. Brian explains he had been stationed on orbital monitoring, but descended after receiving Rhea's distress signal. He reveals that one of the crewmates went insane and attacked the others. As Rhea shows Brian the bodies and admits her memory is hazy, they realize that a crewmate named Clark is still missing. Brian activates his medbot, which scans Rhea and begins treating her injuries. During this time, Brian shares more information. Earth had launched 7 ships in search of a habitable planet. The first 6 failed. Rhea's ship is the 7th and humanity's final chance. They have landed on planet Koi 442, which the crew had nicknamed Ash. Brian has been in orbit all along to stay in communication with Earth and act in case of an emergency. Rhea realizes that the light she saw in the sky was the orbital ship. After the medbot finishes taking care of Rhea, Brian looks at the scan and explains her brain is swollen because of blunt force trauma, which explains the amnesia. Rhea is still frustrated about not remembering who she is, and Brian tells her that she joined the program because she wanted to seek answers and learn what's out there in the universe. Afterward, Rhea tries to sleep but can't because her door won't stay closed. She keeps hallucinating a crewmate staring at her through the crack, which gives her flashes of a terrible monster. She concentrates to calm down and realizes the door was closed all along. Later, Rhea suits up to take the bodies out of the station. She's worried about Clark and wonders if she's somewhere on the planet. Brian thinks they need to forget about Clark and concentrate on their situation, pointing out that they're low on oxygen. His priority should be leaving since the orbital ship only lines up with the station every now and then. The next lineup will be in 12 hours. Suddenly, Rhea sees the dead face moving and has more flashes of the attack, so she rushes back to the station in panic. When Brian tries checking on her, she snaps and says she just needs to rest. Then Rhea goes to the room with all the blood and tries to pick up some scissors, but she drops them when she sees a memory of herself stabbing a crewmate. Rhea rushes to her room and puts on another medicine patch before having a breakdown. Once she calms down, she finds Brian and apologizes for her outburst. While they watch the terrible sandstorm outside, Rhea keeps having visions of her crewmates' deaths and Brian confirms she had been dating one of them. The moment is interrupted by the computer informing them that the hull has been breached and oxygen levels are critical. The duo suits up and searches the rooms until they find a hole in the wall. With tools in hand, Rhea goes inside and finds proof that someone has already been here. She can hear a strange noise and starts following it, but the passage becomes too narrow to cross. Rhea has no choice but to take off her helmet, so she can't talk to Brian anymore, and will be breathing pretty bad air. Now she can move easily and finds the loose piece of metal that has been making the noise. While Rhea works on fixing the hole, a hand reaches in and tries to grab her, causing her to have another vision of a melting face. The hand disappears quickly because it's also a hallucination, and Rhea hurries to finish the job. Once she's back in the main room, she tells Brian about some of her visions. She theorizes that Clark came into contact with some pathogen that triggered a psychotic break, kind of like rabies. Brian snaps as he reminds her that they've lost 30% of their oxygen and that the lineup is happening in 5 hours. So Rhea needs to forget about rescuing Clark or finding answers and concentrate on escaping. To keep herself busy, Rhea searches her crewmates' rooms again and remembers how her boyfriend Kevin used to play music for her. Suddenly, she sees herself in a forest wearing beautiful clothes with a drone flying nearby. Kevin is there too, looking at a tunnel in the ground from which a very bright light comes out. When Kevin says it hurts, the setting changes, and now he's being stabbed in the station by Rhea. After being startled by a monstrous face, Rhea wakes up in bed. Thinking about what she saw, she checks another room and finds the drone next to a glitching screen. Rhea connects the drone to the medbot and finds a recording of the crew exploring the planet. Behind some rocks, they found a metal-covered tunnel in the ground. The team realized the whole atmosphere was manufactured too, which meant someone here had already terraformed. Suddenly, the tunnel started glowing, and the energy hit one of the guys in the face, which sent him flying. When they checked on him, they found his helmet broken and his face burnt. Then smoke, flames, and electricity began to come out of the tunnel, and the drone recorded the same thing happening in multiple spots far away. Brian interrupts Rhea's watching, and she accuses him of knowing everything, but he swears he didn't. He only knew that the team left on a mission, but the station and the comms went dark. Rhea doesn't believe him, and they argue for a while before she tells him that her visions indicate she killed some crewmates. She needs to know if they're real or not, and that's why she wants to stay. She also admits that when her medicine patches fade, she gets memories back. A furious Brian refuses to miss the next lineup and says he doesn't trust the person she may become without the patches. Their priority is to tell Earth they've found terraforming technology which could save humanity. Moments later, while Rhea is packing, Brian comes to apologize for snapping and make sure she's put on a new patch. Since the patches appear to be getting less effective, Brian puts a second one on her neck. After he leaves, Rhea feels dizzy and removes a patch, which triggers a memory. She remembers one of the guys attacking her, forcing her to fight back to protect herself. Her hits didn't do much, and she was easily overpowered. But when the guy tried to choke her, she managed to grab the scissors and attacked him to get him to step back. No matter how many times she stabbed him, though the man kept moving, so Rhea hid under the table to stab him in the leg and make him fall. Then she sat on him and repeatedly stabbed him until he was dead. In the present, Rhea collapses on her bed, but more monstrous visions make her wake up. She comes to the conclusion that the pathogen must have infected the entire crew, leading her to kill them. At that moment, Rhea hears a strange noise and assumes it's Brian, only to discover Clark instead, fully suited up. Terrified, Rhea flees, grabs a welder, and hides inside a vent, only to find Brian's dead body with a severely burned face. When Clark peers into the vent, Rhea leaps onto her, starting a fierce fight. After exchanging blows, Rhea activates the welder, and Clark tries to shield herself using a table, but the flames still manage to catch her suit. Taking advantage of the chaos, Rhea runs, but stumbles and falls. Clark chases after her, smashing an extinguisher with her fist to put out the fire. The brutal fight continues as they move through several rooms, eventually ending up in the bathroom. There, Clark slams Rhea's face against the wall, triggering a memory of the same event happening before. Acting quickly, Rhea hooks the shower hose into Clark's helmet and turns the water on, slowly drowning her. Realizing the gravity of her actions, Rhea drags Clark's body to the medbot, but it's unable to revive her. The scan also reveals there was no infection, meaning Clark had only been defending herself, likely believing Rhea was the infected one. The computer then announces that lineup is about to begin, so Rhea suits up and heads outside. After placing Clark's body into a bag, she boards the shuttle, but inside she finds bloodstains and signs of damage. Growing anxious, she tries to access the shuttle's computer, only to discover it's non-functional, meaning the shuttle won't be able to reconnect with the orbital ship either. Rhea returns to the station afterward and applies 2 more medical patches. She then retrieves Brian's body and has the medbot run a scan. Shockingly, it reports that Brian has been dead for 51 hours, something that doesn't add up. Rhea hears voices saying it's her fault and snaps out of it when the computer detects an unusual life form. With the welder in hand, Rhea begins searching the ship until she finds the mysterious shadow from the beginning. It takes the shape of Brian, and Rhea realizes this thing used her to kill Clark. After another creepy vision, Rhea freezes and concludes that this shadow is the infection itself. It calls itself part of Harris. It touches her head to show her. Its fingers go through her skin until Rhea sees another memory. After the team returned to the station, 2 of the guys found the creature in the walls, and that was when they lost communication with the orbital ship. While Brian flew to the planet in the shuttle and entered the station, the crew found the strange creature getting into their computers. It was this alien who made the hole in the wall and used it to spread all over the ship. The crew wanted to evacuate, but Rhea convinced them that defeating the creature would give them access to the terraforming technology, which always was their mission goal. She took a sample from the alien in the computer and looked at it in the lab to discover self-replicating technology. However, the sample started to grow and broke the dish to attack a crewmate. It entered his head through his nose, and after some shaking, it took control of his body, which triggered the fight that ended with Rhea killing him with the scissors. While Clark pulled Rhea away, Kevin checked on the body, which suddenly woke up and started to choke him. Rhea ran to save her boyfriend, and together they started to fight the alien in their friend's body. When Kevin was about to get killed, Rhea called his name and tossed a scalpel. Hearing the name made their friend gain clarity for a second, but Kevin didn't notice and slashed his neck. The alien came out of the dead mouth and entered Kevin through his ear to gain control of a new body. Kevin chased after Rhea and smashed her head on the wall. When he was about to finish her, a suited-up Clark arrived to fight him. She managed to land a few hits, but Kevin overpowered her and broke her helmet to continuously have to fight him. Overpowered her and broke her helmet to continuously punch her face. At that moment, Brian walked in and was terrified by Kevin's monstrous face, so he ran away to hide in the vent. However, Kevin followed him and quickly killed him with a pipe. Meanwhile, Rhea put a new helmet on Clark's head and forced her to leave the station for safety. Then she grabbed a knife from the kitchen while hearing the alien using Kevin's soft voice to bait her. Rhea pretended to fall for it, and once he was close enough, she stabbed him with a knife. The alien immediately left his body and entered hers through the wound on her forehead. However, before it could take control, Rhea rushed to take lots of medicine, which blocked both her memories and the creature's power. The strange presence the computer has been sensing since she woke up has been the parasite in her body all along. In the present, the alien keeps talking in her mind, saying humans are inefficient and doomed to self-destruction, so it doesn't want to share its technology with them. Rhea refuses to let the hallucinations control her any longer and removes the patches, bringing an end to the visions, including the illusion of Brian, who was never actually with her. The computer announces that oxygen levels have reached a critical point, while Rhea decides to have the medbot scan her for real this time. The medbot detects the parasite and, in a painful procedure, inserts a mechanical arm into her forehead wound to extract it. The process takes several long minutes, during which Rhea's heart stops. However, just as she sees another bright light, she awakens in time to witness the robot successfully remove the alien, which immediately scurries away. Rhea believes the nightmare is over, but the creature possesses Brian's body and transforms into a monstrous form to attack her once more. A new battle erupts, with the alien attempting to strangle Rhea while lashing out at her with its tentacles. She seizes a nearby screwdriver and plunges it into the creature's forehead before kicking it off her. Rhea quickly suits up and faces the alien again. She stabs it in the chest and lands several more blows before fleeing to another location. The creature keeps mutating as it chases her. It corners Rhea inside a lab, where she cleverly ignites a spray can with fire, creating a massive burst of flames that incinerates the monster. Afterwards, she sets the entire station ablaze and rushes back to the shuttle. This time, the launch system responds and she blasts off, soaring through the atmosphere just in time to dock with the orbital ship as it aligns with the planet. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe for more.